Hi guys, this is Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, and this is our To Play and Sing episode number 69. And I'm here. It's 7:01, or call it 7. And this is our Play and Sing question and answer thing. And the point there is that guess what? I'm going to answer your questions. And this is going to take forever if I'm going to do this. Oh, well, I give up. Anyway, so the point is we're going to answer your questions today. And so I've been teaching. Whew, that's crazy. What was that? Sorry, my computer just exploded. There we go. Okay, so anyway, we're going to answer your questions. And you need to drop your answers right in here. In the chat. Hey, TDB. And so anyway, I'm all set to do all kind of wonderful things. And so in lieu of your questions, I'm going to go through, the things that students brought up this day. And not this day, this week. And not questions from them, but things they're having issues with. So anyway, I wanted to tell you what we did last week, but I forgot what it was. So I don't have it written down here. And there's thank you Outlook for telling me that I got it. I'm online. So okay. So anyway, so we're going to start out with the first thing that happened today. And again, I want you to put your questions in here. I don't have to see you or anything, right? You can just say, why do you have a red shirt on? What does MTM stand for? Any of those things. And so that's fine. So the first thing is when you're learning, and not learning, I shouldn't say that. But I don't know what, anywhere from half to a tenth of your musical experience is learning and working on things. I'm talking about in your lifetime over weeks and months. And so you need to concentrate. And you need to master things. And I'm not, when I say master, that's not a scary word. It's just, I can play the song well, and as opposed to I can now listen, you're going to go in Guitar Center and there's 8 million people right now who are all playing little snippets of things, what was the Stairway, do 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 do. They're playing little, and it's like so I'm saying you're going to spend a lot of your time working on songs, and so you need to concentrate and basically like knock out a song at a time. Now you can do 2 songs. It all depends. It all functions how much you practice. If you practice a lot, you can look at several songs. But the idea, no matter how many songs, 5 songs or 50 songs or 1 song, it is that you are mastering most of those songs. Some of the songs you'll hit and jump in, and they'll be too much. You didn't realize it was too hard, too big a step. But a lot of others, you'll be like, you're grasping it, and you're like a starfish, you're engulfing that oyster, you're engulfing that song and learning it, mastering it, and it's becoming a part of you. And now you know it, you go into another song. And again, 2 songs is fine, as long as what you can't do is kind of just touch a song. And the next thing you know, if you do too many songs, and too many songs is like judged on the idea, I am succeeding at most of these songs, most being 70%, let's say. Most 70% of my songs, my gosh, they really sound good, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And when I'm done with them, they get done. And just, by the way, when I say rock, such a huge genre, or country or whatever, they're just gigantic. So the point is you can go from songs in any of these styles that only, 500 people in the world can play, to songs that 500,000 people in the world can play. But if you're playing a rhythm piece with chords and words, in general, you should be able to do that song or work on that song 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I'm not saying it can't be more. I'm not saying that. We're getting better, right? And they're getting easier. But the idea is that, after a little while, you get sick of the song, whether you can play it or not, you know. And then with a classical piece or a note piece or, you know, something by Spiral Gyra or something by Dream Theater or, you know, Carry On My Wayward Son, the whole thing, you know, when you're working on the whole thing, I'm sorry, point is really hard music, then that may take 2 months. It may take 2-3 months, you know, and it may take some songs and things in songs may take you years. And of course, you're getting better and better, and so more and more songs are becoming easier. But in the short term, when you're working on things, don't spread yourself out too thin so that you can't master anything. Everything is just sort of a okay, you know. So you don't want everything to be okay. You want a whole bunch of things that you do to be like, I can really do that. Even it's not kidding. Even if Mary Had a Little Lamb, like I can play, you know, the heck out of Mary Had a Little Lamb. So and the ultimate idea, just by the way, is this here. You can't play, you can't do anything. The ultimate idea is you're getting better and better and better and better. And so here, and what I want you to see is this: all these thousands of songs populating this. It's like really hard songs and not so hard songs and easy songs. And so it's like everybody, including you, including me, you know, we think like, you're not thinking, like if you worked on, let's say you mastered a song a month, let's say you worked on 2 songs and you mastered 18 songs in a year, that'd be a pretty good clip. If somebody said to you, hey, you know, in 2 years, you're going to be able to play, you know, 32 songs, 36 songs, you would not go, all right, you'd say, what? You know, you'd say, I want to play all kinds of songs, you know, all this kind of song, that kind of song. I don't want to be limited like that. I want to play hundreds of songs in a year. And the idea is that in us getting better, what we're actually trying to do, you probably never thought about it, is that your first look at a song, I mean, all these thousands, hundreds of thousands of songs getting harder and harder. It's like you're getting better and better. And so it's easier and easier for you as you work on different songs and learn different techniques and skills. It's easier and easier for you to play these songs down here without ever practicing them. You know, I haven't practiced so-and-so song. I haven't played so-and-so song. But as soon as I hear it, or as soon as I look at the chart, or read, depending on the situation, you know, I could read so well. And reading, you might as well include reading a chart that's just got words and chords, a regular rock song, country song, blues song type thing, as opposed to notes. You know, that's reading, you know, sight reading. So, and we're going to call that sight reading. At sight, I can play this song well. I'm just saying your goal here is I want to be able to look at a song and I haven't seen it, and I want to start, now I'm talking about how good you do. I want to start at 75, 80, 90%, you know, as opposed to every song is just like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I'm lost, and it takes me, you know, a month just to get, you know, all the stuff. I'm not talking about at the beginning. I'm saying your goal is not to work on how am I going to get good? I'm going to work on these songs. So that means, you know, you want to play 1,000 songs, you got to work on 1,000 songs. No, your goal is I'm going to work on 50 songs, and as I get, I'm going to each one, as I learn more and more, all these songs that I wanted to do of different difficulties, like I can do that without these kinds of songs without having to practice them much or at all. Anyway, working on your sight reading, and that happens anyway. I'm just saying, as you're put in positions of, hey, here's this. I want us to play this. Let's work on this song now. And you've never seen it, you know. That works anyway. But it's also good to work on sight reading by itself. So anyway, original point was, be sure you're concentrating and mastering your songs, and not just spreading out yourself so far that you can't master things. Okay. Second thing is, funny thing about singer and singing is that, and I'm looking for, you know, your questions here, but I don't see any. So a second thing that happened is, with issues with musicians, students, is that this week is that singers, you have to more or less get to where you're listening. This is a way of thinking of it, listening to yourself with one ear and the accompaniment with the other. That is, your goal is not, I sing, and I'm doing my thing, and it doesn't matter if I match anybody or not. I don't matter if I match my band or I match my accompaniment or my other singers. I'm just going to sing. And that's what we do when we're learning is we're concentrating. I want to get this right. And so you're concentrating, and the next thing you know, you rushed or you're out of tune. You're not singing the right notes. So I'm listening to myself. Am I singing the right notes? Am I singing the right speed? Am I singing that right rhythm? But that right rhythm has to match the band, my accompaniment. If it's a karaoke, it's my own guitar. Those two things have to match. And it's the thing. It's the singer. Everybody has to do this, but the singer's the worst because he's sort of sui generis. From the beginning, he is generating. He has nothing to read, and he has nothing to touch. So it's all the vocalist, a good vocalist. It's amazing how much of that is in his head. It's like, it's just, you can't touch it. There's 4 distinct problems of the vocalist, and that's one of them. So anyway, so I'm saying here. So, and then the other thing is, you listen to yourself, you listen to the accompaniment, you're matching them, and then know what you got to do? You got to dance. I just mean you got to look cool. You got to look like I'm sincere and I'm singing this song, and I'm like, you can't go, I've been waiting for a girl like you. You can't do that. And you have to go, I've been waiting for a girl like you. I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. I've been waiting for a girl like you. You gotta, because if there's a visual aspect, if people are looking at you, now people go in the studio and they're in their pajamas and they aren't looking too good. It doesn't matter because there's only one medium going on, the audio, the oral. But when you have a visual medium, people are looking at you, you have to move. Now, it's just this interesting phenomenon that, for example, we don't expect certain instruments to do that. We don't expect most piano players. I'm not talking about what they do. I'm talking about what we expect. Most piano players, most bassists, most rhythm guitarists, and the kind of who gravitates to those. It's people who kind of don't want to. We'll talk about that in a minute. I think we will. But we are expecting the vocalists to be all like this. We're expecting lead guitars to, this is incredible. And then, all of this is dependent upon the music you like and the bands you like. And so it's really an interesting instance to see, try to make these comments across the entire spectrum of music, classical to zydeco. But anyway, so when you sing, listen to yourself, listen to the accompaniment, make them match, and don't forget that you can't be all thinking about your song. You got to be like, this is great, and I love this, and everything's exciting. Okay, now, this is I'm just what's come up in the week and so I just nobody's going to listen to me. I'm going to tell you, if you have a kid, you need to get your kid, which is utterly not the trend for the last 15 or 20 years. You need to put your kid in 2 things, man. Don't put your kid in, soccer and underwater basket weaving and, ice skating. I'm thinking all the things that people do, and I'm in the choir and I'm in the, and I'm thinking actually opposite about a student that's actually amazingly accomplished in many things, doing really, really well. But most people, including probably me, is like, well, I can't do that many things at once. I'm talking about they can't master, so everything's kind of shallow level now. And what I'm saying, that a lot of you would rightly say, a lot of us would rightly say, hey, when I get through with high school, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z anymore. Doesn't matter that I didn't get a deep thing. But if you want to become a good musician, part of this is, like I was saying, I think last week, about the muscle. It's becoming, we're trying to, for it to work, it needs to become organic and natural in you, and not just, I'm thinking, I'm so darn smart. It's rather, this is a part of me. This is how I do things. And natural, organic part of me. And so that's time on target. I spend time doing this. And I don't mean, you shouldn't really think of it as practice. You should think of it like, it's a little counterproductive to think of it as practice. You need to think of it a little bit like, or a lot like, I love this music. It's so wonderful. I'm going to just dive into it until it works. Like learning a language. The best thing is immersion. So, all right, next issue with the student is being. You can't be too careful. You can't be cautious all the time. You can't let the fact that you don't know. This is a tough thing to do, but you can't let the fact that you don't know exactly what to do on this song keep you from trying. Keep you from. Look at that big old thing in my head. What is that coming from? Well, I'd love to know. If you know the answer to that, just let me know. But that all this stuff, I know it is reflections off this massive screen in front of you that you can't see. So you can't let the fact that you are uncertain about some areas, or not sure you're going to do it well, these kinds of things. The rule in music is, if you're going to make a mistake, make a big one. If you're going to make a mistake, make a big one in music, and that needs to be your approach. And I'm not saying we got two. You could take that and say, well, he's saying to not practice, to not prepare, to not be good, to not be perfect. No, I believe in and like perfection. I'm a jazz musician, went to school in New Orleans, but I don't like the jazz, put in quotes, the jazz, which is not all jazz musicians do that at all. But the idea, hey man, as they say, you missed a note. Oh, it's okay. It's jazz, And I hate that. So I want things to be perfect. So I'm not saying we're not shooting for perfection, but I'm saying if you're so cautious and careful and you won't try that new song, you won't try that lick, you won't try to be dramatic, you won't try to hit that high note, you won't try to play fast, you're frozen. Wasn't sure quite how to do this, so I just didn't do it. No, I'm afraid that what you need to do is you need to do the half-baked, not that great version, because that puts you out there, and now something can happen, and you can be corrected, and you can listen to the recording and say, wow, that was out of tune, or wow, that was my rhythm was off, or whatever, and you can work on that and fix that. So, and just by the way, people who are I was talking about last week about playing with others, is such a great idea, such a great thing for musicians to do. It is for many, many reasons. Here's one of them, is that you're in any kind of group, say 4 or larger, or 3 or larger, that group makes the trumpets mess up, the band doesn't come to a screeching halt, the band trudges on. So it makes it easier for you to kind of go for it, because it's like, no, we're not going to stop, we're not going to fix this, whatever happened. So it is those people who are in ensembles have a little bit of an advantage on this thing about making a big mistake, because your solo is going to come up, and when you're just playing by yourself, you can say, well, I'm just not going to do that. Okay, so another one is there's only 3 ways you can learn in music, and number 1 is your brain. There's no hierarchy here. One is your brain. I understand this. I can read that. I understand how to do this. I understand to count that. I understand how to make that chord. I know how to do this rhythm. Brain. Second way is these are all together. The second way is with your fingers or your vocal mechanism. That is, I practice and this feels right, it's comfortable, and your hands just naturally go. This is true. Your hands just naturally go to certain things because it's really a marriage of all of the 3 elements. But now it's just so easy to do this that I'm doing well. I'm so comfortable doing this, or I haven't worked on this. And it's so weird that I feel like vocalists are the most intense physiologically. This feels weird, so I'm not going to do it. So, for example, I'm showing the negative. So it's muscle memory, or physiological skill, or whatever. And then the last one is your ear, your big fat ear. And everybody has got an ear. Some people have 2. And in having the ear, I'm talking about using the ear. The ear, guess what, guys? All you musicians, the ear is an open book test. The ear is the answer's right there. You heard it. You heard it. So just trying to think some song that I don't know. Da 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 ba 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 do 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 da da do 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 da 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 da. I have a student doing that song, whatever heck that is. I've never sung it, I've never played it, but I've heard it. And from that, I'm getting what I'm getting at is the ear has the answers. What chord is it supposed to be? What's the timing? How many beats in the measure? Is it got distortion? You know, I'm not being rude to anybody. People are all the time asking me, what should I play on this song? You know, if you're an instrumentalist. And I, you know, can't help but thinking, well, why don't you just listen, you know, to that? And there's the dude who's famous, and you know, I'm not talking about the lead player doing his incredible solo, you know, nobody can play, or 5 people in Texas can play. I'm talking about, you know, what's the bass doing? What's the rhythm guitar doing? What's the drum? What are the drums doing? You know, is there harmony? You know, that kind of thing. And it's like, well, just listen, because your ear is the open book test. It's the open book. What's the answer? Your ear. Your ear hears it. Now, I just want to mention, you think about different disciplines. So if you're in an orchestra or performing choir, a real choir, where reading is intensive, and I'm not talking about reading words, but if it's reading is intensive, listening to your ear is not listening to your ear. Focusing on the ear is almost antithetical. You know, it's like, well, play it for me. You know, people say that all the time. Blah, blah, blah. You know, piano students are worst about, well, would you play it for me, then I can work on it? It's like, well, if I play it for you, then you're not reading. And the reason that the thinking on that would be, well, for a pianist, most pianists, not rock pop pianists, but a classical pianist, everything they're going to do is being presented on a piece of paper. Every time they get a new piece of paper with a new song, they've got to read it again. And so what that person has to do is get better at reading, not better at hearing, although they need to hear, but they need to get better reading, because that's how everything's going to come to them, is reading. However, most musicians, and again, I was talking about a second ago, the great huge panorama from classical to zydeco is what I said a second ago. Most people are playing music that's totally ear-based. Heard this lick, I heard this song. You know, I'm hearing this music guy's going to come in and say, hey guys, here's the tape for the song we're doing, you know, like that. So your ears got the answer, and you can train your ear. So we have got to learn to speak ear. You've got to learn to speak ear. So when I hear a song, I can tell what the chords are. I do mean, in this case, I hear this and I've got my brain's come in and said, well, you know, that's a minor chord, what you're hearing there, Mr. Ear. And then eventually it's saying, hey, that's the minor 2 chord, Mr. Ear. And then it's saying, hey, that's the minor 7 chord, Mr. Ear, you know. And we are teaching our ear, but I'm saying you need to learn to speak ear, man. Use your ear. It's got the answers. It's the open book. And I mean that, I made it sound like it's advanced stuff, but I'm talking about, you're just playing a song for the 5th song you played in your life. Listen, and it's like you can tell where those chords change. You can just follow along. Hey, and listening, I'm talking about. You're looking at your piece of music. Oh, the chord. I heard it. Oh, that's where that C chord goes. You know, is it on 1? Is it on the end of 4? I don't know, but I can hear this supposed to happen right now. And just by the way, people in the great, again, panorama of what musicians are, good musicians, you have many people who are very, very orally ear skilled, and we could, as a generalization, say those people are in rock and they're in country, and they say play that and they can play it right back. And then we have many people who are really smart, typically. I don't mean other people. a lot of people are smart. You don't seem they don't seem left brain smart, so to speak. But anyway, so they're really smart, and they taught themselves, or they can automatically read well. That is a sight read. I haven't seen the song, I can play it. And then the same thing with that, people who are physically skilled. And I'm just saying, when you're comparing yourself working on your music, you kind of have to ignore those extremes. That is, there are many people who are great musicians, and they have this extreme skill naturally. From your standpoint, it'd be like, oh my gosh, they worked in, or they're so brilliant, or whatever. And I'm saying they are, yes, but we need, it's like it's like a lot of that is like they arrived there with that great ear. And I would say if we looked at all music, all these parts of music, most great musicians would be like, he can do this really good, and this pretty good, and this phenomenally, and these other parts, these other 6 or 7 things that are musicians need to do, they need to work on those things. It's great. It's not a problem. Okay, so learn to speak gear. Now, and I just wanted to comment, I have a student that's older, and they're doing great. And the thing about them is, the only thing that I wish for them is that they had, for them to succeed, if they had started earlier. So I just want to tell you, if you're older, or you know somebody's older that wants to learn music, you can absolutely learn. Now, remember I said last week or 2 weeks ago that I've taught 3,000 students, and I've had maybe 4 students that really couldn't learn. They seemed to me to be not physical at all, but like they got a lot of physical skills, but they couldn't understand what they were doing as, this is music, this is great, get into it, make it great, and just kept it as a mechanical thing. I had a few students that have vocal issues, like I'm not sure wasn't sure they're gonna get over those, but so I'm saying, within the context of, well, we can't guarantee anything for anybody, but tons of older people. I am 20. No, I'm not 20. I'm 67 years old, and so I'm old to a lot of people. And so here's this student who's 91 years old and doing well. So I'm just saying, if you know anybody who wants to learn, wants to play, wants to do stuff, get them in. And if you're one of them, get them in. And so this is a good time for me to say, hey, if you want to take lessons, online lessons across the globe, or in studio lessons here in Plano, Texas, contact me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, or go to my website, dallasmusiclessons.com, or you can leave something here in the chat thing. Okay, now I got a little bit of time, and I'm going to talk. Last week I was talking about personality. Now this is just I just don't understand various things about both teachers and students, learners. So your personality affects you so much. It's incredible. And it's like, what are you good at? What are you bad at? It doesn't mean you can't overcome that, but what do you have? Some people have naturally skill at this. Some people are naturally skilled at that. So today, briefly, I'm going to talk about introversion, and extroversion, and as clear, well-known personality types. And so the introvert, and I am an introvert, just by the way, and although I, only a few interview know that, but an introvert, let me just make it easy. An introvert has a circle, is like around them, or a wall, whatever you want to call it, and they let people in, they let events in, and the other things are kept out because there's a whole bunch of many things we could say. And just by the way, in doing that personality test I was talking about last week, I would ask somebody, if they're like, I don't know, I'd say, well, at the end of a hard week, would you rather go be by yourself or with a friend or two, same thing, by yourself or a friend or two, or your family, or would you rather go to a party? It's supposed to be the other direction. Yeah, there we go. Self or friend or two, or go to a party with a whole bunch of people, as a general rule. So the extrovert wants to go be around people. It's energizing to be around people. And the introvert wants to go be by themselves or with a few people to sort of recharge their battery. So the introvert is burning energy by being around people. It's tiring to them. The extrovert, that's his battery charge. Like, whoa, this is so awesome around these people. So how does this affect your music? Well, first off, if you don't want to perform in front of people, you're a jerk. No, it's very normal, because the introvert says, I don't want you to see you can see my past when I've got things done. And so, it's like that introvert would say, somebody would say, how are you doing? You say, oh yeah, well, 3 weeks ago, I did da. They would not say, my wife and I had the worst fight of our life, and I don't know what. Introverts don't say that. Extrovert will say that, yeah, man, we were just getting into it in Walmart, and so so the introvert's like, I don't have this song ready yet, or there's a chance of me messing this up. So they have problems with performing, and both performing like I don't want to be in a performance, but also performing like being aggressive and engaging in the performing, like, because it's kind of like, this is so scary. People are going to see me and they're going to think things about me. So my point in mentioning that is to say, so if you're an introvert, if you feel like you're an introvert, several ways you would think about that. It's like, well, I'm not so happy about displaying my flaws in public. I get energy by being alone or with a friend or two. And when I think about performing in front of others, it's kind of scary. I mean, it's rather scary. So anyway, I just want to say that that's a normal for half of the world. And then secondly, I want to say that you can solve that. And it is not just get out there and do it, sucker. And what I get my students to do, I want you to do, is the idea is that you need to look at it like, I need to perform 200 times before I'm going to be relaxed in front of an audience. Now, those 200 performances can be in front of not your cat, but they can be in front of your mom or your friend, or not the pastor, but after church, for, two people in the music group. Hey, would y'all listen to this song? And what I'm trying to get at is that you would start and you would work up, start with, so the idea is that you would say, I am going to sing for my roommate or my wife. And what we're measuring is why this would help you, when this would help you, is I am somewhat nervous about this. If you're scared to death about it, then you need to find something. Maybe you do need to sing for your dog. But the point is like, if I'm somewhat nervous, somewhat under pressure about this, then that's a good person to play for, to sing for. If you have 100 friends, you would sing for them one at a time, one and then another one, and not in a group, because that gets rid of it. We want many, many little performances. And you'll go through that and you'll get better and better. Why? Because each time you discover that, hey, I lived, I'm still alive. And then after you do it 4 or 5 times, you'll be like, I didn't do that too bad. That wasn't so bad, that one, And so you get your nervousness, your feeling under pressure because you're in front of people gets less and less and less tinily every time you play for other people. And it doesn't seem to me that you can practice your way out of that. No matter how good you are, it seems to be more of a temperamental thing. Okay, what about the extroverts? Well, oddly enough, I find this very interesting, but a lot of my extroverts get so darn excited, woo, 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 that they're playing, they're singing, that actually they give sort of a madman performance. It's not exactly you really wouldn't call it good, meaning they were sort of out of control, just kind of living off this, energy octane of performing and being in front of people. And fortunately, for some of them, are able to look at that and say, that's actually wasn't that great. It was full of energy. It was full of excitement. I performed, I did my hand in the air, but I really didn't sing that well. I really didn't play that well, and so what those people need to do is, basically learn to, again, through performing. It's like, trying to find the core of music rather than the adrenaline of being in public. Now, of course, there are many the people who are famous in also in any either personality or how that person's holding their instrument or whatever. The people who are famous, one half of them are that I call them organics. They are organically they're not, some of them are gifted, but they're organically, like I was saying, like they're very extroverted, so they don't really care, and they've got enough ear skills, they've got enough vocal skills that they're like, kind of doesn't matter, that they can't sing classical or they can't sing this bluegrass song. They can only sing these things, but these things are so great to a certain amount of people, not everybody, that they're very successful. So, and that goes with skills and all kind of things I was saying a second ago. So anyway, my point is you can't, I'm thinking about Katie Lang, what was that guy's name? Classical guy, he's playing and he's laying back, all the way back, playing Schubert. I can't think of his name, Asian guy. So anyway, point is, here about extroversion is to be able to focus and get your music awesome too. And I'm just commenting. Some people, 50% of the people who are famous are people who have these skills. And I'm saying they're not across the board 100%. Everything's amazing. They are. This is great. This is okay. That's great. And this is not too good. But there's enough there that they can put that together into a big package. So you might look at somebody and say, he's running around the stage screaming, and my gosh, I just want to do that. I was looking at some group from, I think they're from Quebec. And there's two guys, and they've got polka dots all in their face. One's got the suit with the black and white polka dots. The other's got a suit, and he's white and black polka dots. And the half of the point of that is the visual. Not bad. That's not wrong. Not wrong to have a visually exciting thing. So anyway, you're extroverted. Get a focus for beautiful music. You're introverted. Get out there and perform in a low key, growing key intensity so that you can make your music. You can give your music to people. And okay, there you go. So I'm Mark Black. This is. Mark Teaches Music. This is our To Play and Sing. This is episode, what is it? 69, I think. You should take lessons, online lessons.